ready to go. I'm not ready, but we have to do this, right? Okay. I mean, I paid for it.
All right. Anytime you're ready.
Yeah, that's the German.
That's the turd.
The terminus.
That's the turd.
It's going well already.
We haven't even started yet. All right.
Let's start with the outtakes.
Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker. Thank you so much for joining me today. Not just me, I'm really excited. We're here at 42 Gear Street 6 with the one and only Daniel from Lichtlaerm Audio. How was that?
That's amazing.
The Canadian throat and lip structure doesn't really work with those German words, but...
No, no one should be forced to speak German.
So, let me get some of the niceties out of the way first and foremost. We're going to get into this wonderful amp over here. Now, one thing about being at events like this is little cliques form. Some people know each other ahead of the time, whatever, and then you end up having little groups that hang out. So I've had the pleasure of hanging with you throughout this, and he's been kind enough to drive us everywhere because we've been riding around on the Prometheus bus.
The Prometheus. We did.
He doesn't know I call it that, but...
no, he just invented that.
I blindsided. But we're having a lot of fun hanging out, so I really feel honored to sit here with you, and I know that this is probably, if not one of the most buzzworthy metal amps going right now. And for those of you who know me, I'm not a metal guy, though I do love my good metal. But I thought it would be fun to explore the different side. All the guitar players I talk about your amp, they say, like, what's a clean channel? Like, what's a clean channel? But...
They don't, because I pushed the clean channel in their faces. I forced them to use it, and I mean, I love cleans, and they sound nice enough for me.
So we're going to get into a different side of the amp that most of the metal guys here are probably not going to explore. So again, some of the niceties out of the way. First of all, you're hearing everything today because we have to connect things via things, and those things are cables. And I'm having such a great summer cable, so that's what we've been reminded to mention. But honestly, they're really great people. Summer Cable, they've got all sorts of cables for different configurations. They can cut it to any short or long length that you need, speaker cables, audio cables, and they've really been awesome. So I want to thank them for supplying all the connectivity, because none of this great gear would be heard if we didn't have those awesome cables.
Exactly, and I mean, Summer Cable is doing so much for this event, and it's so hard for them to actually put their cables in the spotlight, so...
We should have got some Summer Cable chains.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
Really.
For the next video, I'm just going to write it on my forehead.
We should wear them around our neck.
Summer Cable.
So thanks to Summer Cable. Also to be mentioned is Sweetwater, which is a big sponsor of this event. And it's really humid, so I'm blaming Sweetwater for the sweat water that
we're sweat water.
So various things around the space here have been provided by Sweetwater, so thank you for Sweetwater. And I am a Sweetwater affiliate, so there is always links in my description if you want to help out my channel and buy some of the amazing gear that we're going to see here today. So let's get into this. So why don't we talk about the amp? Now, for people on my channel, since I'm not a pure metal guy, why don't you introduce the amp? What was the inspiration of this amplifier?
So basically, I created the amp as an amp that I always wanted to have. Like, I mean, designing an amp in 2024 to make money is a really, really bad idea. So that was not really the objective, which is really liberating in choosing the design structure. So basically what it is, it's 150 watts because why not? So the main design goal was, like, I've always been a rack guy. I love like 80s metal and, you know, those old rack fridges. So the chassis is 19-inch. You can take it out and mount it in a rack.
Oh, nice.
So this was like the main design goal, like have the most complex, loudest, compact amp. So it's the size of like the EVH 50 watts, like the smaller ones.
Right.
and around the same weight as well, but it packs 3 times the wattage. It's fully MIDI controllable. We have a built-in gate. Like if you play metal, even if you play rock and you really want to rip it, there's noise, and you can solve that with a noise gate. FX loop, because effects are amazing as well. Like this ambient stuff that we did in the beginning, it's like always nice as a contrast to like the heavier stuff. And as you noticed already, like no one really talks about it because everyone just wants to chuck and rip and melt faces, but I love a good clean sound, and I really wanted one in there, so we paid as much attention to that as we did to the gain channels. Yeah, but
And an overlook feature, I have to say, it might be silly, but the handles you have on the side.
oh yeah,
I mean, when I ask my wife to carry my amp, it'll just be so much easier.
true. And I mean, it
I
has
love
so,
you, honey. Don't worry, I wouldn't do that.
and it has so many advantages, to be honest. Like it's additional ventilation.
That's what I was gonna say.
So, also it's easier to carry,
Yeah.
and it kind of forces you to use both hands because it's just fucking dumb to carry an amp in one hand,
Yeah.
and people do it all the time.
And I don't really trust those handles that are. I mean,
Same,
yeah.
and they're ugly. Like it's not the most beautiful thing to have a strap on the amp.
Plus, our amp addicts that we have these amps
Yeah,
stacking
you
their
want to
amps.
stack them.
Those
so
things are
this
getting away.
This is like 1 centimeter more for stacking amps.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So also you can put pedals on top and it looks nice. Like this reverb that we used.
Yeah.
It's made by Lichtlaerm Audio.
Well, this
If you-
one
if you-
I want to. So I like to dissect that tone that you just played for us at the
Sure.
beginning here because that was beautiful.
Okay, sure. So we're playing a Valiant guitar. I didn't ask Igor what this one is, but it says Soothsayer, and it's beautiful. It's scalloped.
It's funny. I asked him to bring this guitar because I played it
Yeah.
downstairs because it was a little bit more my style. And then this morning I get up here and I plug it in. We're doing something a metal amp, going a little bit different with the guitar. Has scallop frets on it.
Seafoam green.
Seafoam green. So we're really pushing the boundaries of what.
Yeah. I
anyways.
mean, scalloped frets are kind of a thing in metal as well. Like Malmsteen is playing them
course.
forever. But when you handed it to me, I was kind of anxious because I'm not a good player and I press the strings way too hard. I'm really hard hitting with my right hand, and I was afraid it's going out of tune, but it didn't. It sounds amazing. It's cool. I don't know anything about this guitar, so I can't advertise their amazing work in this video. Anyway, so we went straight into the amp. We have the loop turned on. We're on the bright setting of the clean channel. With like a rather neutral, like a bit more highs, a bit more bass, a bit less mids, like really Fendery clean. And then we got the Untiefe reverb in the loop, which is basically an ambient, big, like cave-style reverb that runs the reverb tails through a phaser. It's actually powered from the 9-volt out on the back of the Prometheus.
Nice. That's a great feature.
Yeah. So
It's almost so stupid that people haven't done that more often.
Exactly. By the way, stupid, and no one has done it before, the defeat switch. Because I love rack gear, and you know, you have like 10 different rack preamps, like those 19-inch units, and you can just run them in the front, hit the defeat, and add as many channels as you want to this amp this way. So 9-volt out on the back for this here. There's another 9-volt out on the foot switch, which is powered from the amp as well, so you can also bring out power to your pedal board just from the amp.
Brilliant.
But that's basically the tone. It was really simple, like straight into the amp, Untiefe reverb, Valiant guitar, and some really clumsy fingers.
Hot and sweaty fingers, being in
Oh,
the sun
yeah.
for 3 days. Mine are
yeah.
swollen like sausages. So just the best we can.
Sleep deprivation and a bit of alcohol in the blood from yesterday. You can hear it in my voice. It's like a bit scratchy still, but
So why don't we do that thing I was doing yesterday that prompted the idea for this video? Because I did
Yeah.
something that you said you had never heard in your amp before.
exactly. So basically what we were doing is, or what's happening, right? It's like all the people who come to the amp to play it, they have hair till here, and just start chugging, and then you sat down and you wrote off the tone part, or right?
All the way.
All the way. I mean, we were on the lead channel.
Yeah.
I guess it was something like this. Like, I'm not sure if we were on the heavier.
I can play a little, and you can kind of do. There's those sweaty fingers we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Sweaty fingers and scallop fretboard.
Oh yeah.
I like to do stuff like that for some melodies that are very creamy, very
Yeah.
vintagey sounding. You know, that was sort of a Joe Bonamassa trick that I know he stole from other people, but I just found myself trying it. And
Yeah, I mean, we're all stealing, right?
okay.
Yeah, and it's insane. Like, it's a style that I don't play, that none of my like metal customers would ever play. So it was like kind of mind blowing to hear that, and like. So the thing is, if you're a metal player, you don't use the volume, the tone pot on the guitar.
Yeah.
I know people who just rip them out and fill the hole because it's like,
But why?
because you need a tag, you need clarity if you tune down, but like it just sings, it mellows out the sound, and it's like.
Why not?
And it's crazy, we're still on the lead channel. Like, that's the channel that everyone else was like.
Yeah. So tell me then, what constitutes a metal amplifier? Really?
It's hard to say. Like, I guess it's good to create like a metaphor for it, because I think it's not like that there are metal amps that don't do anything else.
Anything but, yeah.
Think of 5150, like it's unparalleled in what it does, but try to get a good, like, clean sound or this out of it, and it's not going to work. But so for me, also as a design goal, I think like you have to have a lot of range. Like, it's made for extreme conditions. So what I would compare it to is like shoes. Maybe you noticed I'm wearing hiking shoes all the time. And the reason is, like, if I wanted to go to the mountains right now, I could. Mm-hmm. But they're also fine on the street. So
I'd be left in the dust in my Skechers.
Exactly.
Not sponsored.
And I mean, it's the same with an amp or with gear in general. Like, if it does its job well in extreme conditions, it's going to do perfectly fine in like standard conditions where it's like not pushed to the maximum. Like, it's voiced to be like really stable even if you push it hard and want to create extreme sounds, but you can always roll it back. Like, it's, for example, when people say like, oh, there's so much bass, how would you use that? Just don't.
Well, that's someone like me. You know, I'm been playing guitar a long time. YouTube was something that I used to watch. You know, and then as I got into YouTube, maybe with this channel, seriously, maybe 4 years ago, and starting exploring a different side of, you know, gear. I had one amplifier when I started my channel, and then, you know, started getting more and more into amps and discovering them. And one thing that I've been doing is, because I'm not so stuck in a particular way. I mean, I've always been like a prog guy, classic rock guy, but I'm also very open to different styles, and I like heavy tones. And I've been putting some heavier amps in my studio and in modern spec guitars, and I've been experimenting, and I love that. But since I have a studio and I'm always looking to, you know, explore different tones, I like amplifiers that have a range.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You know, a mod mentality with a lot of switches and things. It just gives you a lot of variety in the studio, and that's one thing I discovered where I started putting a couple high gain amps in my studio. I was like, hold on a second, these are multi-channel amplifiers. Yeah. There's certain extremes that maybe they could go to, but there's a lot in between. And I think if you're in the market for an amplifier, don't discount an amp that is marketed as metal. That's his world. That's Daniel's world, and, you know, his inspirations. And this is a result of his inspiration. But this guy's a kick-ass amp designer and kept factoring in a lot of different variables in this amp, and that was the first thing that I noticed. Like one of our dear friends, John at Sonic Drive Studio, he did a full review, and he rips it up, but he's also a range player.
Yeah,
he's not a typical metal guy.
Exactly, he puts amazing cleans in there, some classic rock tones, and like I'm always blown away if I see other people play my stuff because they get things out of it that I never intended to put in there.
Right.
And that's just amazing. Like,
can I please try that setting in the beginning that you had? The one with the right here.
All right, give us what you got. Beautiful. If there was never better proof that you can get some really beautiful clean tones out of a metal amp, I think that is the example right there. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for having me. That's a really cool sounding amp and reverb. Love it.
Like, I think the moral of the story is to open your eyes and ears when buying gear. We're so flooded with different branding, and the one thing I'll say about more boutique builders is that they can do things a lot of legacy brands can't do. Marketing is a funny thing, you know, and I see it in the modeling world where a modeler could be everything or it could be scaled back to one thing, and it's really just marketing, right? But ultimately we have to use our ears and our eyes, and I've sort of made a point to try things that I would never have tried otherwise, and I discover some amazing things in the process. So don't get stuck with labels. I think it's really that moral of the story is just, especially in an age of online shopping, like, if you can get into a store, if you can't, listen to different options. So hopefully I'm presenting a different side of your amplifier, and maybe a different community will discover what is an awesome amplifier. So any final thoughts that I didn't cover? Or?
I don't know. What you actually didn't cover is the metal.
Oh, so should we, I should go back to a... That's not really me, but I had to give you one. On that series of notes, Daniel, it's such a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
I really enjoyed hanging out with you this time. We still got a couple days left on the schedule. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions at all, any thoughts at all, that's what the comments section is for. But if you did like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And while you're down there, there's a ton of content coming out from 42 Gear Street 6. I'm going to pop something here if you want to check it out. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll, and I'll catch you in the next one.
It was fine, yeah.
Fuck, man, that was great.